Halo Reach was the last hurrah from Bungie, and many like myself consider it to be a great finisher to a series. But there are plenty of other people out there who feel that Halo Reach was quite the disappointment. Halo Reach to this day is still pretty divisive amongst fans. A lot of people love it and a lot of people hate it. But why? This was supposed to be the most epic Halo game ever. Why do people love it and why do people hate it? Well, let's find out why. The first thing I want to talk about is the campaign. And for me personally, if the campaign in a Halo game sucks, that taints the whole experience for me. So, in a nutshell, what do I think of the Halo Reach campaign? It's fucking great. The level design in this game is superb. It is out of this world. It's incredible. And there's so much variety here. This campaign has more variety than any other campaign in the series. And that's a really damn good thing because the levels here are just incredible. They're so memorable, so much fun to play through. Some personal highlights for me are Winter Contingency. The first level of the game sets up this beautiful atmosphere that is very reminiscent of the first game. The world building here is great in the first level, and it really does sort of feel like that second level of the first game. It's very wide and open, and there's tons of exploration to do. Getting into the truck and driving around is a ton of fun in this level. I love that you can run over all the stupid wildlife that are running around, running over the Covenant, and all the great action that this level has. Even when it goes indoors, this level is still a ton of fun. Another level I really like is Nightfall. Nightfall is a clear throwback to Truth and Reconciliation from the first game. It's the third level of the game, it's nighttime, and we have a sniper rifle. Halo has always done the sniping levels the best, in my opinion. I don't think any other game does sniping as good as Halo does in the first place. Even the pacing and feeling of this level feels similar to Truth and Reconciliation. You start off trying to be all sneaky and everything, and by the end of the level, it's just all out guns blazing. Great level. Another one is Long Night of Solace. The first level where we're actually having a dogfight in space.
Round on target. Hit.
I love the space combat in this game. I think it is so much damn fun, and frankly, I think it does it better than Star Wars Battlefront 2. I feel this system is way more intuitive, and frankly, just a lot more fun. I love defending Anchor 9. Assaulting that Covenant Corvette is still one of the best parts of that whole level. And when you go inside, for the first part of it, it's all 0G. So when you shoot some stupid ass grunt in the head, its body just starts to float away. Great little detail. New Alexandria is also a fantastic level. A beautiful blend of air combat and boots on the ground firefights. Also, it kind of reminds me of G-Police on PlayStation, and that's always a good thing. The Falcon is easily one of the coolest vehicles in the Halo series, and especially when you get the grenade launcher Falcon, oh my god, dude. It is some of the most fun you'll have in this campaign. One thing that Reach does really well are the vehicle sections. The vehicle sections in this game are just tremendous, except for one. The only one I have a slight problem with is the Scorpion section on the package.
I'm hit.
I think it's too short and too linear, but other than that, still a grand old time to play. I also love the idea of Lone Wolf, the very last mission of the game. I love this idea because it was the perfect way to end this game. One last firefight. It's time to go out with a bang. And that's the beauty of this level. Not only does it wrap up the great story that this game has, but it wraps up this fantastic campaign. Every level in this campaign is phenomenal, and I could talk about every single one for hours. As far as gameplay goes for Halo Reach, it's fucking awesome, okay? This game plays so goddamn good that it is so hard to stop playing. These games are just so hard to stop playing once you get into that groove, when you get into that combat loop. So let's talk about weapons real quick. Now, the first thing that might be disappointing to a lot of people is the absence of dual wielding. And I'll be honest, I do think it was the wrong call to not have dual wielding, but I can sort of understand why they removed it, because they wanted it to feel more like CE, and on top of that, it did hurt the weapon sandbox a little bit. But aside from that, the weapons all look and sound great, and man, they are just damn fun to use. For the most part. I think all the UNSC weapons are kick-ass, like the grenade launcher is awesome, the Magnum having a scope again is great to see, and the sniper rifle, rocket launcher, assault rifle all feel so damn good to use here. There was also some really cool weapons added to the Covenant's arsenal, like the needle rifle, which is one of the coolest things in the world. I absolutely love shooting things in the head with this thing and seeing this huge ass pink crystal sticking out of their skull. But some of the other weapons that they have for the Covenant are just not all that great. The plasma repeater, for example, is just... it doesn't have the shield stripping capabilities of the plasma rifle, and it's just honestly not as cool. It's just the Covenant's version of the human assault rifle. Another weapon I don't really think is all that awesome is the concussion rifle. The concussion rifle is pretty much the Halo Reach version of the brute shot, but it's not as fun and it's not as cool. I find that on harder difficulties like heroic and legendary, it just pushes the enemies around. Oh, but it'll fucking wreck you in 2 shots. Yeah, it feels like the balancing in some of the weapons on Legendary isn't as good as it should. The concussion rifle is easily your worst enemy on Legendary. When enemies are holding this thing, they just shoot a ton of shit at you, and they never have to reload. Another thing that sucks, if you're trying to shoot at an enemy who's constantly shooting his fucking concussion rifle, your bullets will actually hit the projectiles of the concussion rifle, not the enemy, which is just lame as hell. They also added in the focus rifle, which... it's okay, but I'd just rather have the beam rifle. Now, the focus rifle is good because Jackal snipers are not as big of a threat in this game as they have been in previous games. They don't one-shot you here, which is really nice. Another great weapon that they introduced was the target locator. Nothing like sending down a bunch of artillery on your enemies. Always a lot of fun to see that. Now, difficulty in Halo Reach is overall pretty fair, even on Legendary. There are 2 things that are really gonna feel cheap as hell. The previously mentioned concussion rifle enemies and the melee system. Getting up close and personal with enemies like elites and brutes is a terrible idea, because their melee is undodgeable, and it'll most likely kill you. Aside from all of that, everything feels pretty good. The health system was brought back into this game, and I'm gonna be the one to say it, but I think every Halo game should have health packs. I think that helps the combat a lot more than not having a health bar. Now, the last thing that we gotta talk about for Halo Reach are the armor abilities. I'll go into more depth on this in firefight and multiplayer, but I just have a question. Why are armor abilities in this game? They don't do anything. They don't enhance the gameplay at all. They don't add any more depth. If anything, they just take up space. I went through this whole game without using an armor ability, and I can tell you that it plays just like a normal Halo game. So really what they did with adding in the armor abilities is just add unnecessary crap. It's like they got halfway through the game and said, hey, you know what would be a cool idea? Jetpacks! Let's add in jetpacks to this level. Oh, but what if we added in sprint and armor lock and drop shield and all this other stupid crap that you don't even need? The most useful armor ability in this game is the drop shield, because it regenerates your health. The problem there is that it takes away the use of health packs. So it's like, why even have health packs if you can have a drop shield that regenerates your health for you? Another problem I have with this game jetpacks. You only need a jetpack for one small section, and then after that, you don't really need it. Couldn't you use it through the level? Sure. The problem is, after you're done with that particular section, the jetpack becomes worthless. There's no special spots to fly to anymore. You're just done. Gameplay overall is still damn good. Could have used it without the armor abilities. That's about it. Aside from that, this game still kicks tons of ass. One last thing I'm gonna say about this game is that I feel like elites move too quick for their animation. I don't know how to explain it. Maybe it's just all in my head, but something about them just never really felt like they were grounded. It sort of feels like they're ice skating in a way, but they're able to stop whenever they want. I don't know. Like I said, it's probably just all in my head. Now, as far as story goes, I'm not going to say a whole lot because that's just not my thing. But I will say that I really enjoy this story. I've heard people complain that the characters are too shallow, which personally I disagree with that. But one thing I would love to see is some of these characters getting their own games. I think that would be a really cool thing. And on top of that, I also really like the music in this game, which is unsurprising because Halo has my favorite soundtracks. If you've played through this game, you know the soundtrack's amazing. Go out and listen to it right now. Go out and buy it. And for the love of God, can we get these soundtracks put on vinyl? That would just kick so much ass. Not much else to say about the story and music because they're just both awesome.
Firefight. Spartan, we cannot let this area fall into Covenant hands.
Halo Reach Firefight, in some ways, improved upon ODST Firefight. But in many ways, I still feel that it's a setback. And I want to talk a little bit about that real quick. First of all, let's get into the improvement. Now, the first thing that I think is really nice was being able to pick where you will respawn. A problem in ODST Firefight was sometimes you can get cornered by a brute chieftain and then he'll stay in the spawn area, which unfortunately, when you spawn, you're probably just going to get clocked over the head with a hammer and lose a life. Here, if there's enemies in a certain spawn area, you can just go to a different spot on the map. That's really nice because then you don't feel like you're cheated out of lives. I also like how customizable Firefight is. I like being able to design the enemy waves. If you just want to have an entire wave of nothing but elite generals or hunters, you can do it. And I think that's cool. There is one thing I noticed, however. Drones are completely absent from this mode. I don't really understand why. I think it would have been kind of fun to have a whole round dedicated just to drones. Another thing that I wish we could do is incorporate engineers onto individual waves. Engineers only appear on the map Corvette, which is a little disappointing. I also like that you can tweak the enemy's behavior with custom skulls. You can make them more accurate, you can make their vision better, you can make their hearing better, or if you want to make them completely inept, you can do that too. Another thing you can do is give yourself lives or lower the amount of lives you get. The loadouts are also fully customizable. If you want to give yourself a sniper rifle or a rocket launcher, you can do it. You can also make it so that you have infinite ammo or bottomless clip. Bottomless clip is pretty cool because you don't ever have to reload. You can also decide what kinds of skulls you want for each little game variant. Another small addition I like is being able to eliminate the use of drop ships. When this happens, enemies will spawn directly onto the map, which can make things really damn chaotic. There's also the addition of generator defense, which I really like. I think it's fun to play with friends, and I think it's a nice addition to Firefight. It gives it a little bit more to do other than just going for a high score. I also like Firefight Versus, which is pretty cool. Players will take turns being Spartans and elites, and it's cool seeing the AI interact with the players. You can make some really wacky game modes here in Firefight, and I like that. But let's go into some setbacks that I have. First of all the problems that I have with the armor abilities in the campaign carry over straight into Firefight. And in fact, they're even more worthless here. Jetpack in particular has no place being in Firefight. I don't understand this. Why are you going to give me a jetpack but restrict where I can go on the map? It completely defeats the purpose of having a jetpack. Maybe if there was a map on New Alexandria
like a firefight map where you're on top of buildings and you could fly from one building to another using jetpack, then I could understand that. But you don't have that here. So what ends up happening is, if you find kind of a cool spot where you can get to with a jetpack, oftentimes there's a kill barrier right there. Why are there kill barriers on the map? That is so stupid. That takes away the freedom of having a jetpack. That's the kind of bullshit I'd expect to see in Call of Duty, for Christ's sake. Why is that in Halo? Armor lock is also completely worthless here. If you use armor lock while there's a bunch of enemies around you, they will light you the fuck up as soon as you come out of it. The hologram is just stupid, and evade is just as worthless as sprint. The most useful one here is, again, drop shield, but using drop shield eliminates the use of med packs, which in turn takes away a lot of the tension that firefight should have. That's another complaint I have. I don't feel that it's as intense as ODST firefight. I've tried making game modes in firefight feel more intense, but it just doesn't get to be the way that it was in ODST, which is a bit unfortunate. I also wish that there were more original firefight maps this time around. All the default maps are ripped straight out of the campaign, which, you know what, that worked fine for ODST, and it works okay here, but I would have loved to see new locations from Reach. And the problem is, there were only 2 other firefight maps that were released for DLC after this game came out. What a letdown. Now, with all that being said, I still think Halo Reach Firefight is fun as hell. It's a damn good experience, whether you're solo or with your friends. Not much else I can say about it. Let me just take a minute to talk about the customization options in Halo Reach, because Halo Reach is the blueprint on how to do customization right in a video game. Let's just talk about player customization. There are so many options here on what to customize your Spartan with. The beauty of Reach is that you rarely ever saw other people look the same. Everyone had their own little personality to it, and that was a really cool thing. The custom games options in multiplayer were out of this world, dude. You could change just about anything. And the same goes for Firefight, Forge, and even some parts of the campaign, like the skulls. So really, any other game that comes out after Reach and doesn't match the customization of it is a failure.
Slayer.
And here we are, the multiplayer. And I can definitely say that this is the weakest part of the game. The multiplayer in Reach left me and many others feeling like something was wrong, something was off. And, well, I can finally go into some of the problems that I have with the multiplayer, because there is definitely a lot more to criticize than there is to praise here. The first problem with this multiplayer is the same problem I have with Firefight. All the default maps are ripped straight out of the campaign. Did you guys run out of time or something? Why did no original multiplayer maps ship with the game? Literally every single map that shipped with the game was ripped right out of the campaign. And that's a problem because players are seeing the same areas over and over. Now, the maps themselves are decent, but I wouldn't say they're as awesome as the maps from previous games. There's some really good maps here, like Boneyard, Spire, Countdown, Powerhouse, and Forge World. We also have 2 familiar maps here. Reflection, which is a remake of Ivory Tower from Halo 2, and Zealot, a reimagining of Midship or Heretic. Another problem I had with this multiplayer was, if you were in matchmaking, this game often relied heavily on Forge maps. Now, Forge maps aren't bad, but frankly, I just want something that's professionally made. Having a couple and a few playlists would have been fine, but I do remember playing on a lot of the Forge maps like The Cage, Pinnacle, and Asylum. I will say that the DLC maps are better than the default maps. Maps like Breakpoint, Anchor 9, and of course the Anniversary maps are wonderful additions to the game. One thing that I felt that Halo did better than any other series was making the multiplayer maps feel like something you would see in a single player campaign. However, these maps would still play like a multiplayer map. And I felt that was really cool because it connected the universe and it made it all feel like this was real. Now that's enough about map design, because the next thing I'm going to talk about is reticle bloom. Reticle bloom is a problem in the entire game, and I'm sure people have been waiting for me to talk about it, so here it is. Reticle bloom fucking sucks. There's a few reasons why reticle bloom is dog shit. Number one, it forces you to play less aggressively. This is true in the campaign, and it's true in multiplayer. When you start shooting at the maximum fire rate, bullets just start going everywhere. And it's annoying as hell when you're trying to kill somebody when they're outside of red reticle range. Long range firefights are annoying as shit because most of the time your enemy is gonna get away because your gun has lost so much accuracy. It makes a lot of the weapons feel unreliable. There's nothing fun about pacing your shots. On the flip side of that, people can just sometimes get lucky. It adds in an element of chance into combat now, because sometimes you can just run up in front of somebody, spam all your shots, and kill them. Just look at this clip right here. I get shot with an overcharged plasma pistol, and I'm frantically trying to kill him. But unfortunately, my reticle is so wide that I have no clue where my bullets are gonna go. I do get the kill, but the thing is, I didn't kill him because I was good enough to counter it. I got lucky. Another problem with the multiplayer is the armor abilities. The armor abilities give players these unfair advantages, and it's so obnoxious and annoying when players have these. Let me go into each one in detail real quick. The first one is sprint. Sprint doesn't belong in Halo, and this game proves it. Here's the reason why. It fucks up map control, and it also encourages bad play. Think about it. When are you mostly going to be using sprint? When you're about to die. Sprint encourages people to kind of play like a lone wolf, ignoring the team and ignoring any sort of strategy. Another thing that sprinting does is that it fucks up the weapon sandbox. The first weapon that comes to mind is the energy sword. The energy sword went from being a strategic asset on the map that players had to learn how to use. It didn't just give you free kills. You had to know how to use it. But in Halo Reach, all that strategy is thrown out the window because now you can just get one-shot kills whenever you want. That's the problem with sprint, is that if there's someone sprinting at you with an energy sword and you don't have a shotgun, rocket launcher, concussion rifle, then you're just gonna have to die. I mean, look at that. Holy shit! Here is something interesting that you might want to know. You can play every map from Halo Reach without sprint, and they play perfectly fine. They are designed to be played like Halo maps. So having sprint really just screws up the map flow, and as I said before, fucks up map control. What is the reason for having sprint when it plays perfectly fine without it? The thing about the older Halo games is they were designed without sprint in mind. So there is no reason for sprint to be in Halo, because there are things that are there to help compensate for your speed. A vehicle, a man cannon, or a teleporter. These things helped with your speed. Next is active camo. Active camo used to be a pickup on the map that was vital to matches. You could actually come back and win a match if you got active camo. This was especially true in objective-based game modes like Capture the Flag or King of the Hill. But in Halo Reach, it's just for campers. Because if you move around at all with active camo, you become visible. It also jams motion trackers. You'll know that somebody's around when all of a sudden there's a million red dots on your radar. There's also the jetpack, which is awful because it gives players an unfair height advantage, making it easier to get headshots on the people who are on the ground. And the worst one of them all, armor lock. Thankfully, armor lock is so despised in Halo Reach that I couldn't really find matches of people actually using it. The problem with armor lock is that it completely stops gunfights. Players can also be invincible whenever they want. And if you've ever played a Halo Reach map and wondered to yourself, where are the overshield and active camo spawns? The reason why they had to take those out was because you could be invincible or invisible whenever you want. There's also evade, hologram, and drop shield, which frankly don't affect the multiplayer as much. I still don't really like them because players can spawn with them, but maybe if these 3 were pickups on the map, I could tolerate it. The thing is though, at the end of the day, Reach just doesn't reward high-level play like the other games do. It's definitely more of a casual experience. It can't really maintain that hardcore audience unless you get rid of the bloom and you get rid of the armor abilities, which thank God that's what they did. There is a no bloom, no sprint playlist, and it is the way to play Halo Reach. I can't stress enough how good it feels to play the game without reticle bloom and without armor abilities. Now, high-level play is rewarded, and that's what I like. And also, it's still fun for the casual fans, and that's a good thing when you have a good balance of both casual and hardcore fans. Now, let me quickly talk about the good parts of Reach multiplayer, otherwise this is just going to be a total negative review. But there were some really cool game modes added into Halo Reach: Headhunter and Invasion.
Invasion. Defense.
Invasion is my favorite mode in Halo Reach, and I can't understand why it hasn't been brought back. This is a mode where it's 6v6, Spartans versus Elites, and a mode that is very similar to Rush from Battlefield, but they put their own little spin on it. See, different phases can have different objectives. One phase, it'll be a sort of King of the Hill or Territories objective. Then on the next phase, it could be something like Assault, and then it turns into Capture the Flag. There's a lot of variety in this mode. Some of the most fun that you'll ever have playing Reach is in Invasion, when it gets down to the wire when your core is just about to be stolen, or when you're about to die while you're trying to cap the enemy's core.
Elites win. Game over.
Another thing that Reach excels at was the custom games. I think everybody can agree that that is the one thing that Reach did really well, was the custom games. While I do find custom games fun, if the traditional multiplayer is lacking, I'm not going to be all that interested in playing the custom games. And I think that's how a lot of people feel. The last thing I need to talk about in Reach is Forge in Theater Mode. And for Theater Mode, just as good as it was in Halo 3, fantastic. Forge is even better here. They totally refined Forge for Halo Reach, and I still have a lot of great memories of making maps with my friends, inviting a ton of people to play on them, and this is my favorite Forge because it's simple and easy to understand. The menu is clear, I know exactly where everything is, and come on, who doesn't love Forge World? It's one of the best maps in Halo. It may even be the best map in Halo. Just being able to create whatever you want on multiple different locations is one of the best things in the world and one of the best things that Reach ever offered. So in conclusion, Halo Reach is a real kick-ass game that will give you tons of hours of entertainment and fun. It may not please you in multiplayer if you're super hardcore, but I still think you should try it because you can still have a lot of fun with it. There's a lot of stuff to do in this game, and that is always welcomed. It's a well-built shooter, and you should play it, damn it.